Hey everyone, and welcome to my devlog where I share my experiences with development and hopefully can help you along the way as well. My name is Adam, and I've been working on this game with Daniel, one of my friends from college, for 10 months now. At the outset of this project, we had both recently completed the final exam for our last college course. As we walked out of the classroom, we started talking about game ideas both of us had, and quickly realized our visions were strikingly similar. We set out to work, but to be honest, we didn't immediately jump into the code. We both had a lot of ideas and, dare I say, dream games we wanted to make. Even though our visions were similar, we needed to combine a lot of those ideas together. So we started to document ideas we had for the game in OneNote, dropping images for character design ideas, writing through story points for the game, and drawing concept maps and things like that for the overworld. After many iterations of story ideas, the story and the world around it began to take shape. Here is a small synopsis of the game's plot so far. In the game, you play as a crow who is trying to save his world, which is slowly being corrupted by chaos. The story centers around a set of giant stone doors etched into the mountainside. In their mythology, there is said to be a great demon that has been sealed inside. However, you realize that the seal has weakened over the centuries. Corruption shoots out from the doors, spreading across the land and infecting those in the village below, including yourself. You, as the protagonist, have the task of fighting off the corruption and destroying the demon's denizens to prevent it from taking over the land and destroying everything. The game will have an open world, similar to top-down Zelda games, that you can explore freely, but as you unlock different abilities, you will be able to traverse to new areas and navigate more easily. We also decided early on that we wanted to have some sort of hub village. The current idea we have for the village is that as you progress through the game, you will be able to find and help some of the surviving villagers regain their homes and start rebuilding the town that had been destroyed as the corruption spread. As things are rebuilt, it will open up shops, upgrades, and other mini-games for the player to enjoy. After deciding on the theme and some of the story points and core loop of the game, we needed to decide on a style. Daniel was mainly working on pixel art games, which is also one of my favorite styles, but I had always had a preference towards making games in 3D. So the first big decision we made was we realized we wanted to combine a pixel art style and 3D models. To combine the styles, we chose to make a 3D stylized game using a pixel shader to get a similar but unique look. After many hours of searching and working on a pixel shader of my own, I had nothing. Coding shaders, at least for me, is very difficult. I quickly realized I would have to spend months making my own pixel shader, or I could outsource it to another developer who knows what they are doing in that area. So we started doing more research and found this. ProPixelizer. This asset has been amazing to work with and gave us really good results very quickly while also saving us months of development time. Now that we had the style we wanted to go for and some of the story kind of built out, it was on to the fun part. Actually making it. We are both programmers by trade, but I personally have always liked being able to visualize what my code is doing, so I ended up working a lot more on the graphics and animation stuff, whereas Daniel prefers more of the systems code. We first needed to get a base engine down, something we could easily build off of, and you can't really do anything until your player can move. We began to use Jira to manage the tasks that needed to get done and setting goals. We soon had a player that could walk around, and I began to experiment with the pixel shader and trying to get the look we wanted. I also started to play with Unity's Cinemachine camera system to get some really interesting and unique angles for an orthographic game. Next, we moved on to basic inventory system,
adding footstep sounds, level designing, adding a floating interaction thingamajig, adding a complex ability system, dialogue system, attack system, enemy system, boathouse staff, system.
Okay, when it gets to this part of the development, it is hard not to get overwhelmed with all the thousands of things that need to get done to make a game playable. So I'm not going to go through the whole list here because that would be boring. But let's just say a buttload of work went into getting the game from this point to this point. In 10 months, we went from a walking simulator, a very janky walking simulator, to having built a really solid base for the game. I'm not going to go through everything that we have done so far, but I will hit on some of the big ones. We can create custom cutscenes really easily with built-in dialogue from our dialogue manager. This means we can put together dialogue sequences within Unity's timeline system and really have the cameras do any crazy things we want them to. Like in this scene where the player is talking to something inside this cave. We can switch between a few different cameras as they hit specific spots in the timeline. We can then use our cutscene manager to manage switching between the different timelines. You can see this in action As I finish this dialogue, the camera zooms out while the eyes in the cave start a different animation, which is actually on a different timeline. We have a pretty solid enemy system now that allows us to create any type of enemy just by changing some parameters, like these slime enemies. I can just adjust some of these sliders, add in a bullet emitter, and we have a working enemy that can follow, chase, and shoot at the player. We have a pretty complex moveset for the player as well, which has a built-in ability system, which makes it easy to add new abilities onto existing ones. For example, this teleport ability, which is still in development, is attached to the same button as the dash on the controller. To use the teleport ability, you would hold down the button. First, if I just click the dash button, the normal dash will occur. The goal is to allow the player to use their abilities in combat or puzzles, like maneuvering between enemy projectiles with the dash ability, or needing to hit these pressure pads quickly in a row to open a door. If I try running over them, I won't be able to open the door, but I can use the dash to quickly hit all of them. The unique thing about our dash ability is it can be quickly toggled on and off if you have enough stamina. For example, in a more complex puzzle like this, you would need to zigzag back and forth to get the door open, and there will be even more challenging and complex puzzles like this to come. Stay tuned. We are now caught up to the present moment where I have been working on a scene that may end up in the finished game. I realized I needed to add a little bit more details to the characters and the environment, so I have actually redone our crow main character model, and so I've started to hand paint these models. Keep in mind, there are a few models still in progress here that haven't been texture painted, like this bridge and some of the items on the house that I still need to go through and paint by hand. At this point in the game, the player will have traveled far up into the mountains in search of a temple. Here's what the gameplay looks like so far. Now, one thing you may have noticed if you've watched the previous devlogs is I am currently overhauling the entire UI system. Previously, I was using this pixel font and some pixelized assets that I created, but the problem with that is since this is a 3D pixelized game and we are using Cinemachine cameras that zoom in and out, the pixel sizes actually shift and change or grow bigger and smaller as the camera zooms in and out. I actually really like this effect since I think it looks really interesting and unique. But since the pixel sizes change, it looks a little weird when the UI pixel sizes are static. I decided I wanted to make this a little bit more stylized. So I opened up Procreate and started to mock up some designs. I wanted the lines to still be a bit more rigid though, since I felt like it matched more with the rugged design of the world. To finish up the effect of being high up in the mountains, I created these animated particle effects to give the illusion of wind blowing in the mountains. Now I haven't finished this whole area yet, but I have started to block it out with the basic shapes. Basically, there will be this large bridge that the player will cross, and as you are crossing, an event is going to occur. Make sure to stay tuned, for I'm going to delve into one of our first boss battles of the game next time. Anyways everyone, if you have anything you'd like to see in the next video, please let us know in the comments. For those who enjoyed, please consider liking the video, and if you want to see more devlogs like this one, subscribing with the notification bell on will help you stay up to date. Thanks for joining me for this devlog, and I'll see you next time.